Now on Morning Drive, while you were sleeping, two of golf's brightest stars shot 64 to take the lead in Asia. We'll show you how each major winner got off to a roaring start in round one. And world number one Dustin Johnson had 6 birdies overnight. Find out where he stands this morning, heading into round 2. Junior Golf Week continues. We introduce you to a program helping young golfers on and off the course.
What if there was a way to put someone in the middle, like a mediator, that would be able to provide the child with the support that they need on the course without the relationship getting in the way? I want them to have fun.
Plus, the experts are in. Joey D in the gym, separating your upper body from your lower body.
This is a great drill to feel something that you can't really feel in about 1.5 seconds.
And Dr. Aura on the benefits of sleep, which means if you're watching us at this early hour, it can benefit you. Morning Drive for Thursday, October 26, 2017 starts right now. Good morning, welcome inside Studio AP. It is Morning Drive on this Thursday. He's wearing his Dodger blue despite a 7-6 wild game 2.
Yeah, I went to bed. The Dodgers were down 1-0. I found out later they took a 3-1 lead. You know, Justin Verlander, you're thinking is unhittable. They hit a couple of shots off of him, ended up losing in extras 7-6. This thing's going 7, G-Dub.
You think so?
It's going to be Verlander and Clayton Kershaw, Game 7.
What do you think he thinks? Because he was there last night.
Not happy. Tiger grew up in Los Angeles. Dodger fan, Raider fan, Laker fan. Like me, by the way, I would say. Yeah, that's about where the similarities end, though. But
he's wearing a jersey. I wonder what jersey he was wearing.
It's a good question.
Take a guess.
Woods on the back. Maybe Robinson is in Jackie.
Ooh,
that would be
very
cool.
Good. All right, what is happening now? Well, Brooks Koepka, your U.S. Open champion, a phenomenal opening round of 64. So he has got the lead through one round of the HSBC Champions.
How about Dustin Johnson, Brooks' good friend? Shot a 68 yesterday. Said he didn't touch a club after the President's Cup. Took a few weeks off. You see, currently tied for 11th. Has 5 wins in WGC events.
Yeah, he shows up in big events, no doubt about it. Last year was that young man. He's got a wild hair. Cody Gribble, we saw him smack the back end of that gator at Bay Hill back in the month of March. He is looking to defend at Sanderson Farms. Coverage begins today at 2:30.
And how about Lydia Ko? Yes, a Lydia Ko sighting. She shot 64 yesterday to take the lead in the Sime Derby LPGA Malaysia. She has 10 top 10 finishes this season, coming off a runner-up finish from last week, but still looking for her first win of the season. Let's take a walk and maybe ask the big-timer Charlie Reimer. Good morning, buddy. Lydia Ko, we've watched her in amazement. I mean, she's such a bright light, but she's had a lot of changes going into this 2017 season. Are we finally going to see her break through and get a win in short order?
No, the biggest change she's had is going from being number 1 in the world to number 8 in the world. That's
right.
Not a good change. And you guys try and blame me because I caddied for her in a pro-am out in Dallas earlier this year. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. But I actually had a chance to spend a little time with her former coach, David Ledbetter, earlier this week. David certainly wishes Lydia the absolute best. He really is a big Lydia Ko fan. But I think that the bulk of the changes that she's made with her golf swing are an effort to try and pick up some distance. When she first burst on the scene, she hit sort of a little bit of a weak cut. And it's been this search to try and pick up some distance. And sometimes when you try and pick up some distance and you start making some changes, you get outside your comfort zone. But I've got the feeling now that she's got things narrowed down a little bit. And at some point, she's going to get back to her winning ways. And who knows, it could be this week.
You know she's going to.
Oh, at some point, no doubt about it.
She's got such a great attitude.
She's had a lot of turbulence.
She has.
In this
a lot
year,
of change.
but she's so talented.
But it doesn't bother her. She is totally unaffected by anything. Lydia is.
Including your driving lesson. All right. While you were sleeping, let's take a look at some of the highlights from last night, overnight. Got a very good field. World number 1 in the field. Here's Dustin Johnson, Charlie. His tee shot on the par 3 17th.
Well, that was a cool camera angle. I really like that. You could see that big shoulder turn from that angle, and looked like he just stood right there and blasted maybe a 6 or 7 iron, took it right there to the bucket. Very nice play.
All right, he would shoot 68. Henrik Stenson from a good lie on the 5th. Now, Charlie, this is a bad memory for you. He almost hit you with the shank at Doral.
Exactly. We were down there for the, I believe it was the first year that Trump Doral opened up, and he almost hit me in the second fairway. So he is no stranger to the occasional shank.
But he could have a chance to say par, ugly par, he'll take it. He shot 68. But John Rahm, his second on the 9th.
Yeah, John Rahm not playing his best golf right now. Saw him struggle a good bit in Spain last week. Maybe he's thinking about getting back to playing John Rahm type golf.
But the story of the overnight Brooks kept a big timer, started on the back 9, birdied 14. Here he is on the par 4 16.
Well, U.S. Open champion is it's intimidating to watch him play. I think in many regards it's more intimidating to watch Dustin Johnson play.
Wow.
It's just, you look at him and he looks bulletproof to me, guys.
Also hits the ball a long way, hence the eagle putt.
Ton of eagle putts he's going to get in his career, no doubt about that.
Turns in 31, Charlie. Very next hole from the fairway on the par 4 first hole.
Yeah, you can see where his chest is pointing right there, Damon. He likes hitting that cut. If you're going to hit that cut, you got to have good chest rotation. You got to keep everything moving if you're going to hit that ball left or right.
Now on the tee at the par 3 fourth hole, iron play dialed in.
Yeah, you can see that chest right there. It's not pointing at the target. It's pointing well beyond the target. If your body slows down, that club is going to pass the hands and you're going to hit a draw. That's a classic power cut swing. That ain't no butter cut, David. That's a power cut.
I want the power cut now. How about this from off the green on 8, putting for birdie?
It almost seems unfair to have the power that he has and pair it up with the touch that he has. It's a lethal combination for his fellow competitors.
And you see the one-shot lead over Kirdesh Barnrat and Gavin Green. 2 shots back, Patrick Reed. Hey, U.S. Open champ, how did the round go?
Played really well. Putted very well. One little hiccup and 3 putted from about 3.5, 4 feet, and I felt like I struck it really well. Drove it really well, and anytime you're making putts and you're doing that and keeping the fairway, you're going to shoot good.
Winning a U.S. Open, how much has that freed you up to know that you do belong here?
Yeah, I always felt like I belonged. I don't think that's really an issue. It's more of just confidence. Anytime you win, you're going to have confidence, and especially when it's a major. I feel really good. Game feels good, and I just want to close out this calendar year really well, and start the year off well.
Charlie, he looks like a dangerous man. When you listen to him talk, he's comfortable, nothing bothers him. He's the same way whether he's making birdies or bogeys. Reminds me a lot of Dustin Johnson. What do you see?
Yeah, Dustin Johnson, I see some of that. I know you guys are fans of NFL, and when he handles that press conference, just his demeanor, he looks like a Peyton Manning, an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady. Those guys don't have any doubt that they can get it done. And you watch them come out of a huddle and get up behind center, and you can see it in their eyes. They're absolutely going to get it done. And if you look at his style of play, I mentioned as we went through the highlights, a lethal combination of power and touch. He was 7th in driving distance on the PGA Tour this just completed season. Good number there. And if you start looking into his putting stats, they sort of vary, but they all indicate that he's a top 10 putter. And you look at a guy that stands up on the tee and with that golf swing, thumps it. And I mean thumps it. The sound that it makes is a little bit different than most of the other players on a PGA Tour. And with that ball flight, it's a controlled ball flight. And then you look at what he does on the greens. It's not that hard to figure out what happens in the middle. And if you drive it long and you put it in play, and you're a top 10 putter on a PGA Tour, the rest of that stuff, you're going to figure it out. And that's what he's done. But it's just so intimidating. Imagine teeing up, Damon, with that guy, those Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady eyes looking at you up on the tee and just, boom, blasting it right down the middle. 315, carry, power cut. How are you going to beat that?
Tough.
He wants to start winning more. He only has 2 wins.
I think it's going to happen.
He spent a lot of time on the European Tour, had injuries last year as well. What else is happening? Well, the opening round of the Sanderson Farms. And this is about chicken. But you can't be a chicken if you're going to win on the PGA Tour. Cody Gribble, he'll look to defend coverage beginning at 2:30 at a wonderful place. It's a nice stop for guys trying to get starts. Charlie, you're going to talk about somebody in a little bit as we take a look at some of these groupings. Billy Hurley III, Smiley Coffin, Davis Love III, who's looking forward to hosting his own event, the RSM, in a couple of weeks. And we mentioned Cody Gribble, Peter Malnati, and Chris Kirk. They are off at 126 off the first tee.
All right, more highlights. Sime Darby, LPGA Malaysia. Last week's winner, Charlie Yoon-hee Ji, putting for birdie on the par 4 fourth hole.
Yeah, clearly playing with a ton of confidence. Not an easy putt to read here. She got two different kinds of grain, two different kinds of slope. Didn't bother her. That was dead center.
Past U.S. Women's Open champ. She's 2 shots off the lead. How about Lydia Ko, former world #1, her second on the par 5 6th from the greenside bunker.
I love how she released that club. She let that club slide underneath the ball, used the bounce. Perfect technique there.
Birdie would move her to 2 under now on 17, the par 3, a long birdie attempt.
Yeah, maybe a part of her game that hasn't been as sharp as it has in the past, because I think she spent so much time working on new clubs, new swing, new teacher. There's only so many hours in a day, Damon. It takes a lot of work to get everything firing on the same cylinder all the time.
All right, how about the Asia Pacific Amateur Championship? This is at Royal Wellington Golf Club in New Zealand. We're watching the leader, Charlie, Shea Wolves-Cobb. What a great opportunity for these young players. The Masters at stake as well as the Open at Carnoustie.
Yeah, don't you think they know they're getting invites to those two? And I've never been down to New Zealand. It's on the bucket list for me. And this golf course has been around a long, long time. Been there since 1908. It's absolutely beautiful. It's neat to see a tournament of this stature played at an old golf course just like this.
And you see a 4-shot lead for Shea Wolves-Cobb through 1 round. And as I mentioned, huge exemptions for these young players. Much more to do on this Thursday. Let's say good morning to Gary and also Matt Janella. What's up, guys?
Well, you know what? Matt is our travel expert, but you know so much about the industry of the game of golf. It is Junior Golf Week, and primarily we've focused on kids playing the game. Yeah. But there's another aspect of entry into the game that you and I both agree is vitally important.
I say this all the time, and I'm getting a better sense of it as I'm now fast becoming a father. But kids want 2 things these days, it seems to me: iPhones and internships. And is there a better way of getting an internship than being a caddy? Being a caddy as a kid and getting an opportunity to get a loop, get 4 to 5 hours with somebody who's out there in the working industry. They may be successful, not successful. They may be good sports, bad sports. They may be good tippers, bad tippers. But at the end of the day, a kid who's a caddy who spends time with someone who's out there in the job world and gets that intimate time with them, they're going to learn something, right or wrong. It's going to help shape who they are as an adult. And I think that's one very, not to mention they get good exercise, little money in their pocket. All that, I look at each time a kid gets an opportunity to be a caddy and carry a loop and spend time with somebody and that group of people, they're learning something.
You know, it's interesting. During that footage, Bill Murray was in there shaking the hand of a kid, a caddy. And I heard an interview with him on Howard Stern. And they were talking about golf and how much he loves. And he said one of the most important things that he got early in life was the idea of having a conversation with an adult on a golf course carrying a golf bag. That's my experience. Absolutely correct. Same thing.
Yeah, and you know, you never hear somebody who was a caddy at an early age, who's now gone on to be whatever it is that they are in a professional life, who also play golf, to look back and say, man, I regret being a caddy.
Nobody says that.
Nobody says it, because and I've got 12 nieces and nephews, and I regret not sort of pushing them or encouraging them to be caddies at an earlier age. And now that I'm going to have potential impact on the kids in my life, I'm going to try to, I think that is a great entry point to the game, even if it is something in which they don't actually like playing the game. I think being a caddy at least introduces it to the game and gets them that experience, a little money in their pocket, that exercise. It's all good.
And when I was a kid, the stories you would hear in the caddy yard from your elders, and just very quickly.
That might not be the good part.
Back then, you're carrying leather Burton bags. Yeah. And I weighed about 85, soaking wet. And when Mr. Cardew's bag, we called it Big Red, it was a Ram staff bag, the one that Watson carried, I would hide in the telephone booth in the caddy yard, hoping I didn't get that loop. And invariably, I always did.
And that weighed 85
Mr. Cardew.
Yeah, that bag
Big
weighed
Red.
85. You weighed 85. The bag weighed 85. It was a push.
All right, let's say good morning to Bailey Mosier.
Good morning, guys. Yes, I was never a caddy, but starting at 16, I worked in a pro shop and a cart barn. So again, just that tremendous experience being around those adults for children. So we have been talking junior golfers all week on Morning Drive. That theme continues throughout today's show as we take a look at the tee sheet. We're going to introduce you to a program that puts adult mentors to work for kids. It's called Kitty Caddy. And when the founder of that program joins us this morning, we're going to find out why parents don't necessarily know best. And later this morning, live on our air, we are going to be unveiling and announcing this year's AJGA Rolex Players of the Year. Past winners, they include Tiger, Phil, Paula, and Aria, just to name a few. So stay tuned to find out who's going to etch their name alongside that all-star group. And we want you at home to be a part of today's show. So go ahead, get on Twitter, find us at GC Morning Drive. We put out this poll asking you if you get enough sleep. Tell us yes or no. We're going to have the results of that poll later on this morning. And a man that we never tire of, that's Dr. Ara Sapaya. He's going to be here to remind us just how important getting a proper night's rest really is. So you know someone who should tune in for that? Well, that's Justin Thomas. He's having some trouble adjusting his internal clock back to the mainland. He played back-to-back weeks on the other side of the world, Malaysia, South Korea, and he's back home now, apparently taking it easy. He put out this tweet. Gonna go ahead and say it. I have to be top 3 in the world in couch sitting. I put on an exhibition these last 2 days. Can't stop, won't stop. And then a user actually asked him what he's been watching in those past several days that he's there on the couch. He said American Pie 1 and 2 were on with Super Troopers, following that, which is on now, but an amazing day of movie watching, the World Series now. So this was yesterday. He tweeted and responded what he was watching. So I've actually never seen Super Troopers. We can't analyze Justin Thomas's swing because he's not playing this week. So I'm going to ask the guys to analyze his list, American Pie 1 and 2 and Super Troopers.
1 excellent, 2 awful.
Agreed.
No.
Should probably throw in some Game of Thrones though.
And by the way,
pick a season. By the way,
how about an Insta poll? Do you get enough sleep? Do you get enough sleep?
Seriously?
Do you get enough sleep?
Answer.
No.
Do you?
No.
No.
Is that a real question?
I probably get more than any of you, though. I don't know.